Welcome back to another episode of the Lavesh Pillay Show. Now, this weekend, Formula One made its way down to Singapore, the home of the very first night race. Now, it is always a spectacular scene looking at Singapore at night and having the cars race there. Their liveries look extremely fantastic. Now, some of the teams did come out with new liveries for this weekend, which I really did like. We are going to go back to the normal liveries after this weekend, though, but we do have a 3 week gap between the next race, which is Austin, Texas, and that is a sprint race. Now, Lando Norris won this past weekend in Singapore, and I must say it was a fantastic race for me personally. I really did enjoy it. However, one thing that I didn't enjoy very much is the gap that Norris won by. Now, I know that sounds like something very stupid of me, because Norris did win with a 20-second gap. He did have close to a 30-second gap at a stage. However, I do feel that it's not that nice to watch a race where there's such a big distance. If you've watched the show from the start, you would notice that I have complained about Max Verstappen doing the same thing. And I have said that it really does spoil a race for a person, as there is no real action. Now, we have went a few weeks without seeing a proper yellow flag, red flag, or even a safety car in the races. I might be mistaken, but I know there haven't been any safety cars except for the safety car crash that we did see a few weeks back during a practice session for the safety cars and medical cars. Now, I was super excited to watch the Singapore Grand Prix, as, like I mentioned, the looks, the feel of everything is always fantastic. The atmosphere is great. I mean, we even seen a reptile during FP3, which caused a bit of a situation. It caused a bit of a red flag. You've seen some of the marshals running across the field trying to chase the monitor lizard, which was extremely hilarious. You could hear the crowds cheering and going crazy. F1 TV's commentators even had a nice little session talking about the monitor lizard itself, which for me was super funny. I did enjoy that quite a bit. Now, I'm not going to spend most of this episode talking about a monitor lizard. I am, however, going to talk a bit about the performance from the teams this past weekend. Now, Max Verstappen seen a massive improvement. He did come out second and had quite a big gap between himself and Oscar Piastri, who came out third. Now, that says something, because Lando Norris is a McLaren driver as well, and he came out with a big gap between himself and Max Verstappen. Now, that means that something is fantastic about the McLaren cars, and there is something fantastic that Red Bull are doing about their cars now. Now, I'm quite happy about that. I am super happy to see teams performing so well. The Ferraris did quite well as well. The Mercedes were struggling a slight bit. However, they had picked up and they had also done quite well in Singapore. One of the drivers that I am quite happy about, that I've actually transferred into my fantasy team, is Franco Colapinto at Williams, as he has been doing quite great. And now, speaking of Colapinto, he might make his way out to VCOB soon, or even Kick Sauber. Now, Kicksober could be an option, as they are still looking for one more driver to join with Hulkenberg in 2025 and beyond. However, one of the other options could be VCOB, as Daniel Ricciardo, this might have been his last weekend racing for the team. I know there has been a lot of rumors. I haven't heard anything concrete. However, with his performance this weekend and his previous performances, him seeing a chance at staying with the team further after this next short 3 week break that we are having, which is similar to a summer break, we might not see him come back and carry on with the team. Now, Daniel Ricciardo, I know I was reading something and they did say that Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda both like Verstappen and were putting in a good word for him to stay with the team. However, after this weekend's performance, I'm not entirely too happy with that. Max Verstappen was happy with Daniel Ricciardo, though, for scoring the fastest lap and taking away an extra point from Lando Norris, who had the fastest lap for most of the Grand Prix. Moving on to McLaren again. Now, McLaren did have a bit of a situation with their car recently after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. A lot of people were busy fighting with me for not actually making mention of it. Now, they had a sort of mini DRS system on their rear wing, which opened on the straight, giving them a slight bit more of an advantage. Now, FIA initially did some flexibility tests on the wing and said that it was entirely legal. However, after a third complaint by the Red Bull side, or the Red Bull team, they re-investigated and they came back and said that McLaren are going to have to change that rear wing. Now, I don't entirely know if they did change it for this past Grand Prix weekend. I am going to have a look at that and I will give you feedback on that. However, I do think that they had changed it and now they are running with a different wing. And yeah, they still had massive pace on their car and everybody is super happy with the way that they're going. Now, I know personally I'm not a fan of any specific team and everybody has been calling me a Red Bull hater. However, I do give Max due for this past race weekend. He has done fantastic. He's always had the skill. I've always said this. I have never not liked him as a driver. I do, however, dislike certain aspects of the way that the Red Bull team does work. However, I do dislike certain ways that the McLaren team works. I do dislike the way that certain things happen at Mercedes and Ferrari as well. So I'm very neutral with teams. I dislike them. I like them. I do see the positive in teams. I do see the negatives. That is what I'm here for. I'm here to give you this information, tell you what I like, what I don't like about the teams, help you look at the race in a different way. Yeah. Now, I did make mention as well. I actually released a short in the week this past week, stating that I do apologize for talking so much of crap about Checo, and that when I did relook at the footage in slow-mo from the aerial view, both drivers were slightly at fault during the Baku Grand Prix. And yeah, so I do apologize for that. However, I do still feel that Perez is not the right man to stay at Red Bull. I do feel that they could look at a different driver to jump in there. For me, currently, I have heard some rumors that Haja might come in from the academy. However, now if you do look at it, Yuki Tsunoda is the latest driver that could be promoted. Daniel Ricciardo is there as well, but like I said, he might be leaving the team. So let's see what happens. Hopefully, if Haja does come in, that does open up a space for potentially Colapinto or someone like that in the junior academy, and they could help take Red Bull back to the top to where they were the past 2 or 3 seasons and take them out of the slump that they are currently facing. Now, again, I don't deny Sergio Perez does have a lot of skill. However, I don't think he has enough skill to keep the team at the top of their game. I think that he might be feeling a slight bit let down after the whole Max Verstappen being at the top, the team prioritizing him. And from last year in September 2023, he did say that there was something wrong with the car and the team thought, no, they're not going to listen to him. Max Verstappen is still doing very well. The team is doing very well, so they're not going to make the changes that Checo actually wanted. But now that the team has been seeing a downslope with it, they have been making some changes to the team. Perez has come out and said that the team has apologized to him as well, which I think is a bit far-fetched. They might not have expressly apologized to him, but they probably have shown a way to say, we are sorry for not listening to you and this is how things are going to go. But again, I still don't think that Perez is the right fit for Red Bull going forward, and he might need to move away from there. Yeah, so next Grand Prix is going to be Austin, Texas in the United States, and it is a sprint race again, and I hope to see you then. That's it for this week's episode. Thank you for listening to the Lavesh Pillay Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.